In this video, I'm going to show you how, once you have your camera mounted, how to set the camera tool in CC Lab. Let's do it. Setting the camera tool is important because that's how you tell CC Lab exactly where your camera is. So it's important for motion, it's important for sharp focus. So let's jump right into it. I'll show you how to do it. So I'm going to go into hamburger menu, settings, robot, camera tools. And then here you'll see these are all the ones that you've already saved. We're going to create a new one for this exercise. So I'm going to say add new. I got camera tool 1 that pops up. So the first thing we'll do, I just want to rename it. So I'm going to call this Red Raven Dovetail. So I've got a dovetail on it. It's a good idea to refer to how it's mounted because that the measurements will go into that. All right, and then up top here is where you select how it's mounted. I'm top mounted, so that's what we're going to use because the robot is mounted at the top of the camera, not necessarily to the camera, but at the top of the camera. If you're using an L bracket or something and the robot is mounted at the back, you'd use this. You also got right, left, custom. Custom's another thing. We'll make another video about that. But like I said, we're top mounted and it just walks you through the measurements you need to take. So first is the sensor offset. So as it shows here on the screen, we're going to measure from the center of our cheese plate to our sensor plane. So I'm gonna do that and I'll hold it right here between. And we are right at 20 millimeters. So I'll punch that in, 20. And then next is our lens center vertical. So that means we're going to be measuring from the top of our cheese plate down to the center of our lens. I'm just gonna use this line right here. That's a good, easy mark to measure to. And right there we are at 90 millimeters. So I go ahead and punch in 90. The next is lens center side. So that's referring to this plane as it shows. We would measure from the center of our cheese plate to the center of our camera. I don't have an offset, but if I did, it's easy to measure. If it's out to the right as it shows, it would be positive. If your camera was, if you're looking at it, if it was to the left of your cheese plate, you'd still measure it, but it would go in as negative. But I'm at 0, so we're ready to go. I'm gonna activate that. Now you'll see that when I go back to my timeline, it shows right here under camera, it shows Red Raven Dovetail. So it's activated, it is ready to go. So let's test it out just to make sure it is where we want it to be. So what I'm gonna do for that, I'm gonna make sure I'm in camera reference and rotate only mode. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I want to rotate this way and make sure that my lens is staying exactly in place, just rotating. So I'm going to do that now. And you can see that, yeah, that's pretty good. My lens is just rotating right there around my lens. So that is that's a good sign. The next thing I'll measure is I want to make sure that I'm centered here. So right here where my lens plane meets my sensor plane, so right about here is where we want the camera to rotate around. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rotate it like that, and yeah, it looks like we're right on. So that's how you test it out. Should be ready to go on to write a program or move on to the next step of your setup. Just as a note, if you do have your camera bottom mounted, so say I just took my camera and I actually mount it from the bottom, I can still use the top mount configuration. It's just the same. You're just gonna flip the sensor and in monitor and camera. Also, the probe lens. If you're using a probe lens, this is gonna be a little bit different. You're gonna wanna set your camera tool a little differently. Go ahead and click this link here to see that link for how to set up the camera tool for a probe lens.